Hello everybody, how's everybody doing today? Alright? Everybody doing alright? Great. So, we're in our third class of 5 classes for our Bio MCAT strategy. Alright? Now, with our MCAT Bio strategy, remember we're here to focus on how to take this standardized test that AMC is designed to try to see what kind of a doctor you're going to be. Okay? So far, quick review, remember we talked in our first lecture, talked about the overall kind of like strategies in reference to passages, right? Is this going to be a passage I want to attempt right now? Is this a passage I want to try to do later? Or should I rank this passage? Okay? So our now or later passages. We've also talked about the different questions, right? The different question types. Of course, remember we want to talk about there's memory questions. There is the explicit questions, where it's basically you have to directly drive it from like a graph or a table or straight out of like a definition from within the actual paragraph, the passage. Or the implicit, where you have to analyze something. You have to kind of like what would support or not support a researcher's conclusion. All right, or implicit. Okay? So, and we've kind of talked about how you want to rank those in terms of those question types, where you want to rank them. Should I do these now or should I do these questions later? Okay? Now what we're going to go through today is we're going to go through the question review worksheet. Okay, it's going to be a useful tool for you guys on how to like basically start really getting your score to increase. Maybe for some of you, you'll start to see like a plateau occurring within your scores. The question review worksheet is going to be a good tool to kind of like really kind of analyze your work so far when you're going through and doing your question, doing your practice, etc. Analyze what is going good with your practice, what kind of question types, etc. All these different things. What's been going well, what's been going wrong, and it can give you a chance to maybe notice something that you didn't notice before. All right. Sometimes you're too close to the problem. You don't even really realize what is causing you to fail more frequently. You may not even see it. And so some people say, well, this is a little bit, it seems like, man, that's just adding another layer of work I got to do to my overall crowded schedule to prepare for the MCAT. Well, again, everybody, the MCAT's going to be one of the big, huge things that's going to help get you into med school. So you got to give it its due. And also, if you take the time, maybe you can see that 1 or 2 extra points that you wouldn't have maybe got because you didn't even realize that this is something that's, been a problem for you. Never saw it. So it's a good idea to kind of take back some time and analyze what's going good and what's going wrong. All right, this is a good tool for that. Okay? Because, as I've said before, what everybody should be focusing on is, yes, it's good to know the material, but you need to focus on, what is it, everybody? That's right. Practice, practice, practice. Okay? Practice. And this is what we're going to do to help enhance the effectiveness of your practice. Okay, the effectiveness of your practice. So, let's go ahead and look how this sheet's going to be structured. So as I said, you have a copy in your book. Maybe make copies on your own, or just get good about doing the kind of the columns on a scratch piece of paper. All right, whatever works for you. But there's a format in the book for you. All right. So the format's going to be seen. Now you're going to have the first column is going to be the test, the book. Where exactly this thing is coming from, all right? Maybe even like the page number if it's from some of the other review manuals. All right, so the set of questions that you're analyzing right now, where specifically did it come from? Okay? Was it AMC, perhaps? Was it a Princeton Review test, perhaps? Okay? That's all consideration. Then the next column is going to go ahead and be the content section. Right, and that's in reference to what specific content it is. Okay? The content section. So, for example, we have, let's say, the test. This would be, the TPR test 1, perhaps. In the content section, we're going to go ahead and label up the different content sections that we're discussing. All right? Because we can use this for pretty much any of the different 4 sections. So, of course, if you're talking about the first section, that would be the PC, right? That, of course, would be our, CP, excuse me. CP, our chemistry and physics. Our chem physics section, that very first section there, the CP. All right, the next, of course, would be the CARS, which, of course, we all know abbreviation, critical analysis and reasoning skills. Our CARS section there. And then, of course, the BB, the section that we all are enamored with, our bio and biochem section. All right, biochem. And then, of course, the last section you have, I'm going to switch to purple. That blue doesn't seem to be showing up very well. is the PS or our psych social section. All right, our psych social section. So those are basically kind of coding what kind of content it is. All right, so you can, I mean, obviously you can see what content perhaps is really getting you more than other content, right? And so we can kind of code it by content as well. The next column we're going to look at is the passage number and question number. So passage number, the question number. All right, say it's, TPR test 1. What exactly passage is that? Maybe it's our cars, passage 3, question 2. All right. So we know exactly where we can go back if we need to see it in context, perhaps, or something. All right. Maybe we just want to do a list of things that we missed. But I would say you want to do this until you get more and more used to it. Try to do it for like whole sections, because that'll give you an idea of the overall big picture of what's going on. All right. So do it for whole sections. Then our next column. Any questions out there? Everybody okay with questions? So I think TCP so far, test, whatever, content, passage. Then it's, of course, next column is the Q, the question. All right, question. And, of course, this is the question type. All right, what type of question was it? So, of course, there's a different set that you've been going over with your cars instructor and whatnot. But for everything else that's not cars, then we can break those down into our 3 basic question types, right? You have M for your memory. All right. You're going to have E for the explicit question types. And, of course, I for the implicit question types. All right. And further, I would enhance these codes a little bit more with also the specific question types we talked about before, right? So our 2 by 2 question types, how we can kind of at least get those down to 50-50 pretty quickly. Our least, not, except question types, those can sometimes be a lot tricky because we're so programmed to look for the right answer. All right? So those and techniques for those. And of course, last, the Roman numerals. Okay, the Roman numerals and our proper techniques for how to handle those questions. So you can also see basically there's a certain type and implicit Roman numeral, which are one of the worst questions ever. Are those always getting you? Perhaps you should maybe avoid those in the future. Okay. Then our last column, which is also where it really becomes in handy on the importance of generating this question review worksheet. Okay, is we code what happened with that question. Okay, how we code that question. So we call that, of course, the result code table. And we're going to go into more depth with that in just a little bit. Okay? So hold off on that. We'll talk about the different codes. There's going to be 6 codes we're going to discuss here. We're going to discuss that in a second. But I want to kind of step back real quick and discuss why. Kyle, why, Kyle, do I need to do this extra amount of work? Okay? Well, the why behind this. Okay? First answer to the why, I would say, is for a lot of people, and when we're at about midway through the course, they kind of, plateau. Okay, between like the second test they took, the third test they took, they didn't really increase that score. Maybe they went down in one area by a point, went up in another area by a point, but the overall score was the same. Well, this just give you a tool to maybe see there's something you're not noticing. Okay, again, like I said earlier, you're just too close. Okay, you're too close to really analyze it very successfully. Okay? Now, the why on this, of course, the first one is to analyze the questions and find trends in those questions you get correct versus incorrect. And so this gives you a way to kind of analyze is there something I haven't seen, right? Is there something I have not seen in what I've been doing? Okay? So, that's one good reason, definitely. That's a very good why on that. Okay? The other one, of course, I would say, is then with this in mind, all right, you can say perhaps start to practice techniques for those questions that you're consistently missing. Okay? So the second is, of course, gives you an opportunity to identify the questions that will take you longer and or ways to move through quicker or skip. Or just straight up skip that sucker. Alright? Letter of the day. Alright? Move on, letter of the day, keep on trucking. Alright? So those are two good whys. Okay? Kick back, look and see maybe there's something I didn't even realize I was messing up on with all the time. Or perhaps to identify the questions that, these are the ones that take me a lot of time. Don't even try to engage. You're already pressed for time as it is. Or, hey, I know a good technique that can get me through this question a little bit quicker. All right, and at least I may not get to the exact correct answer, but I can process of elimination it down to 2 answer choices and move on. All right, see what kind of question types that are and what kind of sections it belongs to. Okay. Now, how are you going to do this? Okay, how are you going to go back and do this when you're going to get ready to practice for itself? So I'm going to go ahead and put this little area here right now. So, actually, no, blue's not going to work for us. Go for brown. All right. So, how? How to be successful with this technique? Okay. How you're going to be successful with this technique is, one, you of course want to do it very soon after you've gone and basically done a chunk of practice. Okay. So how? Number one thing you got to do is do the analysis